What's up everyone, Piscean here. So I originally was going to talk about occultism, but I already made a video regarding that, and we talked more about it in a different video. So with peace and love, please subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care. In this video we're going to go over field research and case analysis, but this video's title is probably going to be, let's see, the Pisceans field research and case analysis or so. Water. I'm okay, guys, don't worry. Everything's under control. So what I'm gonna do now is jump into the video. So we have our case studies here, and we're gonna go over a few different things in regards to astrology, such as a medical decumbiture analysis following medical astrology. We're also gonna talk about forensic, natal, and transit profiling, so that's criminal astrology. And these are, can you tell, these are from all my study guides that I've been uploading these last few days. So we're also going to talk about time in the gold market with the EX protocol, financial astrology, the Arcturian contact window, and exo-astrological election, so that's exoplanetary NHI astrology, of course. Consecration of a Jupiter talisman, a Picatrix election. We didn't talk about occult astrology, but we will here. Excuse me, briefly. And then the Lost Falcon, or relocation of the missing animals, so we're incorporating animal astrology. We have appendixes A through C here. So A is a glossary of key terms used in field reports. B is our SRFM terminal output samples for each case. And C is investigator notes and ethical review statements. So let's get started with field report 1. The fever of unknown origin. Right? Medical astrology. Again, this is decumbiture. Natal health profile. Critical days. Alright? So here's our summary of the case. It's a 34-year-old female, referred to as subject M, presented to her primary care physician on March 12, 2024, with a high fever, 39.4 degrees C, severe headache, joint pain, and a faint rash on her torso. Initial tests for common viral and bacterial pathogens returned negative. Over the following 2 weeks, the fever persisted, waxing and waning with no clear diagnosis. The attending physician, aware of the faculty's medical astrology research, requested a sidereal consultation to assist in identifying the nature of the illness and predicting its course. So what do we see here in the natal health profile of subject M? Well, the individual was born July 15th, 1989 at 14:30 EDT in Boston. And we're using our sidereal zodiac, not our Western. Okay, so this is Indian astrology, it's Vedic, which you will be seeing more of me talking about on the channel. So, 15 degrees Scorpio rising, ruler Mars at 22 degrees Leo in the 9th house, Sun at 22 degrees Gemini in the 8th house, Moon at 18 degrees Sagittarius in the 2nd house, conjunct the lot of fortune, 6th house cusp, 10 degrees Aries, the ruler Mars, we see already where that is and what that's doing. The 8th house cusp is 28 degrees Taurus, and the ruler Venus is at 5 degrees Cancer in the 8th house, sitting with Sun in Gemini. And the 12th house cusp, 5 degrees Libra, with the ruler Venus in that 8th. So what is this saying? What is our health imprint assessment, or our HIA for short? So, subject M's ascendant in Scorpio, ruled by Mars, is in Leo, It indicates a constitution that is fundamentally resilient but prone to intense febrile crises. While the sun is in the 8th house, it suggests a life touched by transformative health events. Okay? The 6th house is in Aries, it's ruled by Mars. It points to acute inflammatory conditions as a primary disease tendency. The moon in Sag, while generally optimistic, is in the 2nd house and in immutable sign, suggesting a vulnerability to systemic fluctuating conditions. A notable natal configuration, Mars in Leo, square Pluto in Scorpio. The violence axis in medical terms. A signature of intense, potentially dangerous inflammatory responses that can escalate rapidly. Pre-existing vulnerabilities. The natal chart indicates a susceptibility to fevers of uncertain origin, blood disorders. Why? Because we have the 8th house emphasis and inflammatory conditions affecting the head. Why? Because Mars is in Leo and Aries is in the 6th house. The Venus placement in Cancer in the 8th house suggests a potential for latent viral issues or hormonal involvement. Decumbiture chart analysis. So, here's our actual event about what happened to land this person in the ER. Subject M took to bed with fever on March 12, 2024 at 10:15 a.m. EDT, Boston, MA. And this is the moment of decumbiture, remembering its sidereal. So, 28 degrees Taurus rising, Venus at 5 degrees Aries in its detriment, in the 11th house, retrograde. Moon, 22 degrees Aquarius in the 9th house, applying to a conjunction with Saturn at 24 degrees Aquarius and square to Uranus at 23 degrees Scorpio in the 6th house. 6th house cusp, illness, all right, 10 degrees Scorpio. The ruler Mars is at 28 degrees Capricorn in the 8th house. It's exalted and it's direct. 8th house cusp, crisis and death. 28 degrees Sagittarius, the ruler Jupiter at 15 degrees Taurus in the 12th house. How do we interpret this? The patient is the 1st house, all right? So the ascendant is at 28 degrees Taurus, ruled by Venus retrograde in Aries. Venus is in its detriment and retrograde, indicating a weakened state and a possible turning inward of the disease process. Venus in Aries is hot and dry, contrary to its nature, suggesting inflammation of a Venus-ruled system like kidneys, skin, hormonal balance. The retrograde motion points to a recurring or latent condition, perhaps a viral issue that has reactivated. Next is the illness, which is the 6th house itself. The 6th cusp is in Scorpio, ruled by Mars, and it's exalted in Capricorn in the 8th house. This is a powerful and concerning placement. So, Scorpio suggests a hidden septic or deep-seated infection. Mars is exalted in the 8th house, and it indicates a strong, aggressive disease process with the potential to become life-threatening if it's unchecked. That illness is not superficial, it has penetrated deeply. Let's talk about the moon's role. Well, the moon is the key timer. It is in Aquarius, applying to a conjunction with Saturn, the greater malefic, and a square to Uranus, which is sudden changes, electrical disruption. So the Moon-Saturn conjunction indicates a prolonged, debilitating course with feelings of heaviness and stagnation. The square to Uranus in the 6th house suggests sudden erratic shifts in symptoms, spiking fevers followed by chills, or an unusual hard-to-diagnose pattern. The Piscean is the 7th house. The 7th cusp in Scorpio ruled by the same exalted Mars. This suggests the physician is competent and aggressive in treatment, but also that the disease and the doctor are matched in intensity. A battle of wills. And so we have our outcome here. The 4th house, the end of the matter. The 4th cusp in Leo, ruled by the Sun at 28 degrees Aquarius in the 9th house, applying to a sextile with Jupiter and Taurus in the 12th house. The Sun is your vitality, and Aquarius, it suggests an eventual breakthrough through innovative treatment. The sextile to Jupiter in the 12th offers hope. A hidden benefic, perhaps an unexpected resolution or a diagnosis reached through unconventional means, the 12th house. Preliminary diagnosis from decumbiture. The chart strongly suggests a latent viral infection. Why? Because Venus retrograde in Aries, Scorpio 6th house, with an autoimmune component. Moon square Uranus, and that is that Aquarian emphasis. Causing systemic inflammation. Mars exalted in the 8th. The illness is serious but not necessarily fatal, with the turning point indicated when the moon clears its square to Uranus and the sun applies to Jupiter. Critical days and turning points. Well, using the decumbiture moon, which is at 22 degrees Aquarius, the following critical days were calculated. So we are going to look at dates, transiting moon aspect to decumbiture moon, as well as a event. So March 16th, 20th, 24th, and 28th. So March 16th, square, alright, moon at 22 degrees Taurus. The fever spiked to 40.1 degrees C. New symptoms of confusion appeared. March 20th, in opposition, moon at 22 degrees Leo. Peak crises, patient was hospitalized. Lumbar puncture performed. March 24th, square, moon at 22 degrees Scorpio. Test results returned positive for a rare enterovirus causing viral meningitis. Treatment with IV immunoglobulin began. March 28th, conjunction, moon at 22 degrees Aquarius. Patient's fever broke definitively, discharged 2 days later. So now I want to give an analysis of the critical days really quick. So the opposition day, like March 20th, marked the crises, consistent with classical doctrine. So the transiting moon in Leo conjoined the patient's natal Mars at 22 degrees Leo, activating the natal Mars-Pluto square. This explains the severity of the peak. The square on March 24th with the moon in Scorpio, the decumbiture 6th house sign, brought the diagnosis, an uncovering of the hidden Scorpio illness. The conjunction on March 28th with the moon back in Aquarius and separating from Saturn coincided with the fever breaking exactly as a decumbiture Sun-Jupiter sextile suggested it. Alright, so here's our treatment election. And we basically just elected, a day, said, hey, moon was in Sag, patient's natal moon sign, supporting her immune system, waxing and applying to a trine with Jupiter, the great benefic in Taurus. The ascendant was 15 degrees Cancer, ruled by the moon, reinforcing the theme of immune support. Mars, the disease significator, was separating from its square to the patient's natal Mars. So this case exemplifies the power of the decumbiture chart when integrated with a thorough natal health profile and timed with critical days. The decumbiture accurately portrayed a serious hidden Scorpio illness with an unusual presentation, Aquarian moon squared Uranus, that would eventually yield to innovative treatment. Sun sextile Jupiter in the 12th. The natal Mars-Pluto square predisposed the patient to intense inflammatory crises. Transiting moon's activation of that square on the opposition day was a trigger for the worst of the symptoms. Alright, now we're going to move right on to our criminal astrology. Forensic natal profiling, crime scene chart, guilt probability index. Field report number 2 here. We have a summary of the case. It says, over a 4-year period, from 2019 through 2023, a mid-sized financial firm in Chicago suffered the systematic embezzlement of $4.7 million. The firm's internal audit identified a fraud but could not pinpoint a perpetrator among 3 senior employees, all of whom had access to the relevant accounts. The suspects were Suspect A, male, born February 22nd, 1978, Chicago, time unknown. Suspect B, female, was born November 5th, 1984, in New York at 8:15 in the morning. And Suspect C, who's a male, born June 30th, 1971, in LA, born at 11 p.m. So how do we take care of this? Well, the firm's legal counsel, aware of the faculty's forensic astrology program, requested a sideward profiling analysis. All 3 suspects consented to the astrological review as part of the internal investigation. Let's do this. I'm probably the best astrologer on YouTube, to be honest, and I learned it from KRS, to be honest. My best YouTuber I learned from on here, KRS Astrology, hands down. As well as Archie's Astrology. Crime scene chart, the fraud's inception. So the embezzlement began with a small unauthorized transfer on January 14th, 2019 at 9:22 a.m. And this is the quote-unquote birth of the criminal enterprise. So we have our crime scene chart, or CSC for short. Ascendant is the event, alright? And then we're going to look at the 7th house as the perpetrator, the 6th house as the crime act itself. So the ascendant, 8 degrees Aquarius, the ruler is Saturn at 13 degrees Sag in the 10th house. 7th house, alright, the perpetrator, 8 degrees Leo. The ruler is Sun, and it's at 24 degrees Capricorn in the 6th house. The 6th house, the crime act itself, 5 degrees Cancer, the ruler of the moon, is at 19 degrees Aries, sitting in the 3rd house. It's conjunct Mars, and it's also at 22 degrees Aries. So moon is at 19 degrees Aries in the 3rd house, and is conjunct Mars at 22 degrees Aries. Alright, the 8th house is shared resources and theft, so 28 degrees Leo. We just talked about that. So the midheaven is 2 degrees Scorpio with the ruler Mars at 22 degrees Aries. It's conjunct the moon in the 3rd house. Yeah. And I crafted here the lot of theft, which is just the ascendant. And we add Mars and subtract Mercury, so we would add 8 degrees Aquarius. We would add that with Mars, which is 22 degrees Aries, and subtract that Mercury, which is not on here, but anyways, 18 degrees Aquarius in the 1st house conjunct the south node K2. So the ascendant in Aquarius being ruled by Saturn in the 10th indicates a crime committed within the institutional structure, the 10th house, by someone who understands the system, Aquarius. The 7th house ruler, the perpetrator, is the sun in Capricorn in the 6th house. So the perpetrator is a diligent, hardworking employee, 6th house, in a position of authority or seniority, Capricorn. The perpetrator is not a random outsider, but an insider. The moon conjunct Mars and Aries in the 3rd house of documents and transactions describes the method. A series of aggressive, impulsive Aries financial moves masked as routine paperwork, 3rd house. The lot of theft conjunct Ketu in the 1st house suggests a karmic pattern. The perpetrator may have a history of financial deception, which is Ketu. The most telling feature is the Sun, the 7th ruler, and Capricorn in the 6th. This perpetrator is patient, methodical, and operates within a daily workflow. They're likely a workaholic, trusted, and above suspicion precisely because they seem so dedicated. Alright, moving on to the natal malefactors and mark analysis of suspects. Alright, excuse me. Let's talk about suspect A, who was born February 22nd, 1978, and it's a sunrise chart. Sun's in Aquarius. Wait a minute, that is not right. Sun's in Pisces. Okay, sorry guys, I'm so used to Western astrology, my bad. I need to learn more Vedic astrology. I'm also very stoned. I was talking over myself a lot in the other video. I'm like, dude, I would refilm this, but I have an audience that loves me. I'm not going to sit here and apologize for who I really am. A lot of people just want to be superficial and loved all the time for not fucking up. Well, go watch their channel then. I'm not going to sit here and fucking bullshit anything or anybody. Like, I'm done doing that. I've wasted life doing that, actually. I was 19 and I wasted my life. I threw it away, actually, biologically. So Sun's in Aquarius, Moon's in Leo for this individual. We're talking about Vedic astrology, so this is correct. The ruler of the ascendant, if Aquarius is rising, is Saturn and Leo in the 7th house. Mars, Pluto. Mars at 22 degrees Cancer, which is debilitated. Opposite Pluto at 15 degrees Libra. No tight square. The violence axis is absent in the hard aspect form. We see Saturn, Moon. Saturn's in Leo, Moon's in Leo. It's a conjunction by sign. So a strong Saturn-Moon connection, but not a hard affliction indicating emotional coldness. More likely indicates emotional reserve and discipline. And that 12th house ruler, if Capricorn is the 12th, Saturn is in the 7th. It's not angular in the 12th or the 8th. Now the criminal triad is not fully present, so the Mars-Pluto opposition is wide and in soft signs. Saturn-Moon conjunction is in a warm sign, Leo. The chart shows ambition, but not the signature of fraud, in my opinion. Moving on to suspect B, born November 5th, 1984, 8:15 a.m. 5 degrees Scorpio rising. The ruler Mars is at 28 degrees Capricorn in the 3rd house. Sun is at 13 degrees Scorpio in the 1st house. Moon is at 28 degrees Pisces in the 5th house. Mars, Pluto. So Mars is at 28 degrees Capricorn, and Pluto is at 1 degree Scorpio, conjunct the ascendant. Mars and Pluto are in mutual reception by exaltation, and they are in a tight square. Mars at 28 degrees Capricorn, square Pluto at 1 degree Scorpio, in orbit 3 degrees. This is a classic violence power axis. While not physically violent, the signature indicates a capacity for ruthless, calculated action to achieve hidden goals. Saturn, Moon. Saturn is at 15 degrees Scorpio in the 1st house, squaring Moon, which is at 28 degrees Pisces in the 5th house. A tight Saturn-Moon square is emotional coldness, lack of empathy, or early maternal deprivation. This is a strong empathy deficit indicator. Excuse me. 12th house ruler. So 12th cusp is Libra. Ruler Venus is at 10 degrees Sag in the 2nd house of money. Venus is not angular in the 12th or the 8th, but the 12th house ruler in the 2nd connects hidden activity to personal finances. Criminal triad. 2 of the 3 indicators are strongly present. Mars-Pluto hard aspect. Saturn-Moon affliction. The 3rd is 12th ruler angular. It's not present, but the Venus placement in the 2nd from the 12th is suspicious. We have an additional signature that Mercury is at 4 degrees Sag in the 2nd house, in detriment, square to Jupiter at 5 degrees Pisces in the 5th. A classic con artist, Mercury-Jupiter square, indicating grandiose communication about finances. Mercury also rules the 8th house of shared resources. Alright, suspect C was born June 30th, 1971, with 10 degrees Pisces rising, the ruler Jupiter at 26 degrees Scorpio in the 9th house. Sun at 8 degrees Cancer in the 5th house, Moon at 15 degrees Virgo in the 7th. So Mars, Pluto, well, Mars is at 24 degrees Aquarius in the 12th house, squaring Jupiter at 26 degrees Scorpio, but no hard aspect to Pluto, because Pluto's at 27 degrees Virgo in the 7th. So Saturn, Moon, Saturn's at 28 degrees Taurus in the 3rd house, trining the Moon at 15 degrees Virgo, which is a harmonious aspect. So the criminal triad is not present. The chart shows a watery spiritual individual, Pisces rising, Sun in Cancer. There's a 12th house Mars, which could indicate hidden actions, but without the other signatures, it's more likely to manifest as spiritual drive or hidden self-undoing. So preliminary profiling conclusion is suspect B's natal chart most closely matches the astrological signature of the perpetrator indicated by the crime scene chart. Sun in Capricorn, 6th house, methodical insider in the malefactor's mark, Mars Pluto square, Saturn Moon square, Mercury Jupiter, fraud signature. I'm not going to go over all this with you guys so you don't get confused. Alright, let's do financial astrology now. So let's go over a summary of this case regarding money this time. We only have a few more cases left. And there goes my phone again. Alright. So in 2025, the price of gold experienced significant volatility, driven by geopolitical tensions, inflation concerns, and central bank buying. The faculty's Exo Financial Research Division was tasked with testing the Yeet Yikes protocol on a single asset class, which is, of course, none other than gold. To evaluate its efficiency as a timing tool, the protocol integrates the Heliopause Tension Index, or HTI, and SAF to generate binary trading signals. So Yeet equals execute, Yikes equals avoid. This case study documents the application of the protocol to gold, XAU USD over the calendar year 2025 using the natal chart of the London Bullion Market, LBMA, and the transits of Jupiter and Saturn. Alright, let's talk about the natal chart of gold. While gold, which I should be using yellow for, while gold as a physical metal has existed for millennia, for market timing purposes, the faculty uses the inception chart of the modern free-floating gold market. We selected the moment when the gold window was closed and the era of floating exchange rates began. So August 15th, 1971, we'll say 12 p.m. EST, Washington, D.C., the Nixon shock. This chart serves as the natal chart of the contemporary gold market. Sun, 22 degrees Cancer, to precious metals, store of value. Moon, 10 degrees Gemini, volatility, news-driven. Ascendant, 10 degrees Scorpio, gold is a secret, hidden asset, a crisis hedge. Ruler of Ascendant, Mars at 12 degrees Aquarius, in the 4th house, gold as a foundation asset, but subject to sudden technological disruption, Aquarius. Jupiter, 29 degrees Scorpio in the 1st house, gold's expansive wealth-preserving nature. Saturn, 6 degrees Gemini in the 8th house, structural contractions, fear-driven buying. Gold's primary planetary ruler is the Sun. The metal itself, with a strong co-rulership from Jupiter, expansion, wealth, and Saturn, fear, security. For timing, we focus on transits to the gold chart's Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn. Yeah, I won't go over that one with you guys. I'm sorry. Let's actually skip. I don't think I'm gonna go over some of these. I think I kind of fucked up on some of these. All right, let's do this. Oh God, I said the appendixes. Yeah, let me jump ship really quick. This is actually pretty funny. This is like just beatnik poetry and some stuff I was working on in regards to like I don't know the best way to say it, like advanced astrology philosophy and beatnik poetry excerpts, expanded ponderings. So this video is a little bit all over the place already, but welcome to the channel. If you guys like me, you like me. If you don't like me, that I barely get views right now, but maybe in 10 years, who knows where YouTube's gonna be, if YouTube's even gonna be an option anymore. We really have no idea what's happening in our future. But anyways, so this is Repentant Lesion. Like I said, this is something I was working on, like esoteric poetics and sidereal philosophy. So, a memorandum of celestial wounds, cosmic regret, and the bopping cadence of the spheres. Prefatory beat. Dig at cats and kittens of the faculty, the cosmos ain't no tidy textbook. It's a smoky basement club where the planets wail like saxophones and the stars snap their fingers in 6/8 time. We've written the manuals, the sidereal physician, the celestial detective, the stellar magus, all sharp lines and precise angles. Saturn's own blueprints, but the soul of the sky is ragged, syncopated, full of blue notes and broken rhythms. The truth of the spheres won't sit still for a lecture, it needs to be scattered. Repent and lesion is the shadow side of the codex. It's what happens when the astrologer puts down the ephemeris and picks up the bongos. It's the poetry of Pluto's undertow, the cold sweat of Saturn's 3 a.m. audit, the dizzy joy of Jupiter's all-night jam session. These are fragments, ponderings, and beatnik sutras born from staring too long at a natal chart until the lines start to dance. Read these pages not to learn, but to feel. Let the rhythm of the signs jitterbug through your brain. Snap fingers at the conjunctions. Weep at the oppositions. Laugh at the squares. Because what else can you do? The stars are a poem, Daddy-O, and we're just a typo. So light a Galloway. Pour a black coffee and dig the celestial bebop. Section 1. The Astral Beatnik Sutras. Repent. Saturn in the 12th. Repent. Repent. The planet of heavy bones is cross-legged in the basement of your chart and smokes a cigarette of your consequence. You thought you were free, but freedom is a kite string cut, and you are falling into the gravity of your own undone deeds. The hexagon pulses at 1.6 gigahertz, a metronome of death, and every tick says, you. Every talk says you, and the silence between ticks is the mercy you never deserved. Repent? No. Repentance is a luxury for those with time. Saturn demands not apology, but architecture. Build the new self on the rubble of the old. Use the broken bricks of your mistakes as a cornerstone of your salvation. The wound, the lesion, is a door. Lesion. Chiron in the 6th. The wound is a teacher, with a gravel voice and a cigarette and a 3-day beard, leaning against the lamppost of your daily grind. She says, you will not be whole. You will not be healed. You will be deep. You will be true. The limp is the dance, baby. The ache is the rhythm. Chiron orbits between the rings and the ice, a maverick with a medicine bag full of herbs that sting before they soothe. He was struck by the arrow of his own abandonment, and so he learned the secret. Pain is not the enemy. Fragmentation is not failure. The lesion in your 6th house, the daily wound, the chronic illness of the soul is not a bug in the code. It is the code. It is the foundation of your kindness. Without the crack, how would the light get in? Without the wound, how would you know where to press the balm? Something I've been thinking about lately, and this actually helped me, inspired me while I was writing this. I listened to The Kills music. If you don't know the band The Kills, I suggest you look them up right now. One of my favorite albums is now Keep on Your Mean Side. I just like it because I've always been too fucking nice. I've always been very, very nice. But sometimes you gotta toughen up and be a soldier. The moon is a beatnik. The moon. She don't give a damn about your Leo sun or your Capricorn midheaven. She's a beatnik. A beret-wearing, bongo-playing, black turtleneck goddess who chain-smokes clove cigarettes and writes free verse on the back of your emotional body. She changes her shape every 2.5 days because consistency is a bourgeois construct. She pulls the tides of your mood, not with gravity, but with a whispered poem that you can't quite remember when you wake up. New moon, she's in the dark snapping her fingers. Full moon, she's on stage wailing the saxophone of your soul. Void, of course, she's wandered off to get a drink, leaving you in the lurch. Don't try to pin her down. Don't ask her for a 5-year plan. Just let her be the crazy aunt of your chart, the one who taught you to howl at the moon and to cry without shame and to believe in the magic of a shared cigarette at 4 a.m. Mercury retrograde blues. Oh, Dad, don't do it. Don't sign that contract. Don't send that text. Mercury's walking backwards like a drunken crab, and all the wires are crossed, and all the words are scrambled, and your carefully constructed sentence comes out as a burp and a sob. It's not a curse, man. It's a slowdown. It's the cosmos tapping you on the shoulder saying, dig it, baby. You've been moving too fast. Time to retrace your steps. Time to find the typo in the first draft of your soul. The emails bounce. The planes are delayed. The ex-lover texts out of the blue. That's not chaos. That's edit mode. The universe has a red pin out and is scribbling in the margins of your life. Let it. Read the corrections. They might just save your ass when the planet goes direct. The Neptune fugue. Neptune is a fog machine in a dive bar on the edge of the galaxy. You walk in looking for answers and come out not even remembering the questions. The music is thick as honey and the dancers are ghosts and the bartender is your own reflection wearing a mask that looks just like your face but backwards. Neptune dissolves, Neptune deceives, Neptune lifts the veil and shows you the infinite ocean. And if you're not anchored, you'll drift out to sea and become a mermaid or a wave or a forgotten dream in the mind of a sleeping god. The mystics love Neptune. The drunks love Neptune. The poets and the junkies and the saints all chasing the same high note that fades as soon as you hear it. The trick daddy-o is to be the anchor, to have a Saturn in your pocket even as you wade into the Neptune sea, to taste the infinite without becoming it, to visit the dream and bring back a souvenir for the waking world. The Mars-Pluto beatdown. Mars and Pluto in a dark alley behind the 8th house club. Mars is throwing haymakers, Pluto is taking them and smiling with blood on his teeth. This is the aspect of the cage fight, the kind of anger that doesn't just punch a wall but becomes a wrecking ball for the whole damn building. Abuse, war, the urge to dominate or be dominated, the shank in the prison yard, the artillery of the soul. But here's the flip side, cats. The same heat can forge a sword. The Mars-Pluto square is the fire that burns away the dross. It's the surgeon's laser cutting out the tumor of fear. It's the activist's righteous fury that will not be silent in the face of tyranny. You got the juice, see? You got the Ross carry volcanic power. The question ain't, will you destroy? The question is, what will you build on the ash? The scorpion stings itself and rises as the eagle. The phoenix, man. The phoenix. And this is actually where I want to fucking move. Shout out Phoenix AZ. Because I'm coming, baby. Guarantee it. Mark my words. I'm moving there. I have a house there. That's the only comeback worthy of this beatdown. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you my expanded ponderings, the Cosmic Cafe philosophy on the exoplanetary blues. I was sitting in the Cafe Savril, nursing a cold brew in a hot conjunction when Ariel walks in, or rather, vibrates in, all 7 feet of luminous Arcturian grace. She orders a nebula spritzer and looks at my chart with those eyes that have seen galaxies born and die. You are sad, she says, not a question. Jupiter's in my 12th, I mutter. All this expansion and nowhere to put it. It's like being the only giant in a dollhouse. She smiles that smile that contains the wisdom of 1 billion years. We once knew a civilization on a planet orbiting Anilan. They had a Jupiter in their 12th house collectively. The whole species felt their immense potential was hidden, caged, a secret even to themselves. So they did the only thing that made sense to them. They turned inward. They explored the cosmos of the psyche. They mapped the inner dimension so thoroughly that when they finally emerged into physical space, they did so as beings of pure thought. They didn't conquer the galaxy. They thought it into a more beautiful configuration. Your 12th house Jupiter is not a cage. It is a gestation chamber. I sip my coffee. The jazz on the sound system shifts to a minor key. So you're saying my blues are just a prelude to a symphony? I am saying the blues are the symphony. Listen to the dissonance. It resolves when it's ready. The comic ledger of a broken heart. Venus retrograde. The classic time when love goes sideways. When exes rise from the grave of memory, when you find yourself staring at old photographs and wondering what the hell you were thinking. I was deep in it. She had left a note on a kitchen table written in the ink of a Saturn square Venus transit. I can't do this anymore. The structure is gone. Structure, Saturn, of course. I have been building our love on Jupiterian promises, forgetting that Jupiter without Saturn is just hot air. So I went to the SHA, not physically, dig, but astrally. I tuned my meditation to 1.6 GHz and visualized the great hexagonal ledger. There it was, my balance. I had been overdrawn on Venus for years, taking affection without giving stability, craving beauty without tending the garden. The ledger was red. The audit had arrived. Her leaving was not a cruelty. It was a correction. I wept, not the tears of a victim, but the tears of a debtor who finally understands the bill. I made a list, every unkept promise, every distraction, every time I chose my own comfort over her need. I visualized each entry being marked paid in the Saturnine script. The next Venus retrograde, I'll be ready. I'll have a balanced book. Love is not alone. It's a joint account, and the SHA requires both signatures. The sidereal bestiary of the self. I am a menagerie. We all are. My Aries Mars is a ram butting its head against the fence of indecision. My Cancer moon is a crab scuttling sideways into the ocean of memory. My Aquarius Mercury is a monkey chattering about the future, throwing ideas like feces at the wall of the present. My Virgo Venus is a bee, industriously gathering the pollen of affection from flower after flower, never satisfied with the hive. The animals of the zodiac are not symbols. They are the living archetypes that share our blood. When I am angry, the wolf of Mars howls. When I am scared, the rabbit of the moon trembles in its warren. When I am proud, the lion of the sun shakes its mane and roars at the empty savannah. Sidereal bestiary taught me to honor these creatures, to feed the ram, exercise, to give the crab a home, to let the monkey swing from the branches of stimulating conversation, to reward the bee with the honey of self-care. We are not humans having a spiritual experience. We are animals having a celestial one, and the zoo of the soul is the only sanctuary worth tending. The great conjunction of 2020 and the death of the old gods. I remember the night of December 21st, 2020. Jupiter and Saturn kissing in the Aquarius, the closest they've been in 400 years. The air was electric, even through the fog of the pandemic. I stood in the field staring at the 2 points of light merging into one, and I felt it, the shift, the end of the Earth epoch, the beginning of the Air Age. The old gods died that night, quietly, without fanfare. The god of fossil fuels, the god of top-down authority, the god of us versus them. They didn't die in a battle. They just sort of faded, like the signal of a radio station driving out of range. The new gods arrived, not with trumpets, but with a soft, persistent hum at 1.68 Z, the god of networks, the god of the distributed ledger, the god of the collective breath. I think about what Ariel said, that our people have been watching this conjunction across civilizations, that it always marks the moment a species chooses to grow up or blow itself up. We're still in the balance. The Aquarian age is a teenager, all idealism and awkward tech, but the potential is there. The potential for a world where power is shared, where wisdom is crowdsourced, where the SHA is not just a cosmic auditor, but a global conscience. I'm not naive, Daddy-O. I see the shadows. The surveillance state, the digital feudalism, the dark side of the hive mind. I've talked about it on the channel quite a bit, but I also see the light, the kids, the alpha generation with their native Saiyan pedants, and their intuitive understanding of the mean. They're not waiting for permission. They're building a new world in the shell of the old, and they're dancing while they do it. The conjunction was a door. It swung open that night. We are still walking through. Some might not make it out alive at the end of the transit of Pluto and Aquarius. All right. Section 3. The Celestial Scat. Some more poetry here. Nova Lament. I am a spinning corpse of a star, a metronome in the void. Beat, beat, beat. My light is a needle stitched in the darkness with a rhythm so precise it could break your heart. Once I was a giant, full of hydrogen dreams and helium ecstasies. I fused atoms for the fun of it, a cosmic alchemist with fire for a face. Now I am a cinder. A lighthouse without a shore, a drum beat without a band. But still I spin, still I signal, still I beep, dig it, even the dead have a story to tell. Pluto's Confessional. I am not evil, I am not darkness, I am the necessary silence after the scream. I am the psychiatrist who prescribes the medicine that makes you vomit your childhood onto the floor so you can see it and name it and let it go. I am the foreclosure notice on the houseboat of lies. I am the cancer that eats the tumor of your ego. I am the divorce that sets you free from the prison of a dead love. You fear me because I am honest. I am the only planet who would tell you that you are not special, except in the specific way you are broken. In the specific way you can be mended. Kiss my ring, baby, not in worship and acknowledgement. The underworld is just the basement of the palace, and I am the janitor with the keys. The Zodiac Jazz Suite. Aries, the trumpet blast that wakes the dead. Taurus, the bass line that never changes and never needs to. Gemini, the piano player with two right hands riffing on gossip. Cancer, the cello weeping in the back room safe in its shell. Leo, the saxophone solo that goes on too long and you love every second. Virgo, the drum kit perfectly tuned counting the beats. Libra, the duet, the harmony, the counterpoint of a perfect kiss. Scorpio, the minor key, the blue note, the silence after the cymbal crash. Sagittarius, the banjo, unexpected foot stomping heading for the hills. Capricorn, the conductor's baton, strict, unforgiven, building the symphony. Aquarius, the theremin, the synth, the sound of the future that nobody's heard yet. Pisces, the ambient drone, the reverb, the sound of the ocean, and a seashell held to the ear of God. The astrologer's prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the squares I cannot change, the courage to act on the trines I can, and the wisdom to know that the conjunction is always a new beginning, even when it looks like an ending. Grant me the patience to sit through a Saturn transit without screaming, the humility to not believe my own Jupiter hype, and the grace to hold a client's tears during a Pluto square without pretending I can fix it. Grant me the vision to see the chart as a poem, not a prescription, and the strength to be wrong with style. The final riff. The universe is a jazz club and the planets are the house band. The sun is the band leader, cool and eternal. The moon is a singer, all mood and mystery. Mercury scats the changes. Venus hums the melody. Mars bangs the drums of war and desire. Jupiter blows the horn of plenty. Saturn plucks the bass of time. Uranus plays the wild electric guitar of surprise. Neptune is a fog machine and a reverb pedal. Pluto is a silence between the notes. And we, the humans, are the dancers. We twist and we shout and we slow drag and we weep. We spin under the lights of the natal chart and we try to find the rhythm of our own strange song. Sometimes we step on each other's toes, sometimes we fall, sometimes we rise, and the whole room rises with us. The band plays on, it always plays on, the music never stops, even when the club is empty and the chairs are stacked and the last cigarette is crushed out, the music is still there. A faint hum of 1.6 gigahertz, the frequency of the architect's tuning fork, the drone of the eternal chord. Dig it, and dance. In my next video, you guys are going to see me go over static and psalm. Further beatnik astrophilosophy, celestial signal memos and tables calculated by the hipsters ephemeris. Esoteric poetic cyber-philosophy, memorandum of radio hiss, sacred frequencies, and the quantified grooves of the spheres. I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care. Piscean out.